Welcome to the What's Happening Birmingham video podcast.
Hello everyone, this is Jarvis Escott with What's Happening Birmingham. Today I have the honor and pleasure of being with Ms. Crystal Mullen-Johnson with Strive Counseling Services, LLC. Thank you again, Crystal.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure to spend time with you.
Yeah, same here. Part 3, I saw the previous 2 parts. Today we're talking about love and money. And let me repeat this again, love and money. And it's a very popular topic that comes up in relationships. You probably hear a lot in your sessions, sitting down with individuals and couples. So let's just dive straight into it.
Okay.
I think I read an article a couple of months ago, or I read it online. It was talking about at least each partner keep at least one bank account hidden from their partner, and it was alarming to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. And I was thinking like, this is almost. And they also started talking about financial infidelity.
Oh wow.
In a way. So.
Yeah.
What are some things that you hear from your clients sitting down about the inequalities between love, or who makes more and who makes less?
Yeah, I think financial inequality can create conflicts in relationships. I love how you paired love and financial inequality. So what I would like to say first, I think it's important for partners to identify why they connected, why they decided to get married. Some relationships could have been driven off of, money, or, that person being financially stable, or the relationship could have been developed for many other reasons, and love could have been that reason. And I think that's very important. When you see financial inequality in a relationship, it creates very uncomfortable feelings for that individual that may not be making, equivalent to what their partner is making, or if they're making less than their partner is making. So that individual may, suffer with shame, may grow resentful of their partner. They may feel guilty about spending the money. They, may struggle with respecting their partner, or hiding money from their partner, which is a problem. I think it's important for that couple, to sit down and have conversations about what they are feeling. Some couples make decisions on how they want their finances to be managed together, and some make individualized decisions. I believe that couples should make mutually agreed decisions on how money should be managed in their household. If a woman stays at home, meaning she's going to be doing like domestic chores, or taking care of the children, I do think that her husband should support her in doing so. If her husband is going to be working extensive hours and traveling, I think it's very important, equally important, for her to be emotionally supportive of him while he's away, because that can be difficult as well. So hearing you talk about financial inequality, I think it's something that couples can overcome. And they can overcome it, like I said, by budgeting the money together, talking about reward systems, a reward system for their partner. Like, what would be a great reward? Because, she's probably investing time, in the home, or he's investing time away working. They can talk about, how they can collaborate together. Maybe they can contribute 50-50 to household chores in one day, maybe a day that both of the partners are at home. Because I think it's important to kind of walk in someone's shoes, meaning to experience what their life may be like in a day. Like, if a woman's at home all day with kids, that can be like really a stress, burnout job. That's a full-time responsibility, a full-time role, and it's something that should not be diminished. And also, even speaking about the male, it should not be diminished that he's away working all day. It's very difficult for Black men, especially, I think, in society to be successful. So it's very important to stand behind your partner and support them with whatever they are doing, and affirming them. Y'all should affirm each other and love each other through challenges that you should have. So it's all about the partnership.
Well, let's go back to the initial stages,
Okay.
dating.
Okay.
When, in your professional opinion, is the appropriate time to bring up finances and money?
Well, I mean, I think when you're dating, you are experiencing at some level how a person manages their money. I mean, you're thinking in terms of stability, right? So if you're dating someone, you should be monitoring for stability. So if you're deciding to develop a deeper relationship with an individual and you all are talking about having a future together, finances should be discussed, meaning, do you have student loans, like meaning outstanding debt, or talking about debt period, having an understanding of how important it is to have financial stability, or talk about investments, because those things may be important to you but may not be very important to me. But if it's important to you, I think I should adhere to that, right? Because everyone wants to people should want to have financial security in their relationships, or even independently they should want to be financially secure.
So what if a person just directly tell you, like, well, two common questions. What is your credit score? Or how much debt do you actually have?
Yeah. I mean, you don't have too many people walking around here with like a 700 credit score. I think it's great to have a high, good standing credit, a great credit score. That may be uncomfortable for people to talk about, finances and sex,
Yeah.
and maybe religion.
Make it financially naked or something like you say.
But I do think it's important to talk about finances. I mean, definitely it comes up in therapy, how money is being utilized, and you should be considerate of your partner when you are spending money, and there should be a working budget when you're in a relationship.
So how come we're going to send the male shoes, female shoes? So let's do the female shoes first. So as a female, she meets a guy, but she may be a doctor, for example, or an attorney. But this guy may be a blue-collar person.
Right.
How can she navigate that hard barrier without making him feel, financially insecure?
Right.
That we could, survive, or this is a doable situation?
Right. I think that it's important to respect the individual that you're dating. Like, it doesn't have anything to do with how much money they make. Like, you selected this to be your partner. So if this is going to be your partner, it is your objective to nurture that relationship by constantly affirming that individual. Like, when you get upset, that's not an opportunity for you to demean them and remind them that you make more money than they do. I think it's important to stay focused on the reason why you are in a relationship with someone, and don't make money the root of the problem, or I guess the meaning of the connection with that individual. I mean, unless you're just a millionaire, and if you're a millionaire, I don't understand why you would make such a big deal anyway about how much your partner is making. But that's not what we're seeing, and that's not what I'm seeing in therapy. Is minute issues about splurging on things that one partner may consider unimportant, or spending too much money on alcohol, things, and that's something that a partner may consider unimportant. Making bad financial investments, buying a car without consulting with your partner, or investing in maybe properties and you haven't even involved your partner in that process. So it's nothing wrong with investing, but it's about inclusion, allowing your partner to feel a part of the process, or both of you all, having that autonomy in the relationship and make mutual decisions together. So togetherness is always better than separate, like doing things separate in a marriage.
All right, so go back to the male shoes. Say that he makes more money than her. How does she navigate that to make them both feel as equals?
Right. I think it's important. It goes back to what I was saying initially, just sitting down, not sitting down literally, but having constant communication about what your needs are in the relationship. if your partner makes more money, like how do you feel you can contribute? And it doesn't mean you have to contribute the same amount of money. Don't feel as if you have power and control over an individual because you make more money than they do. It's just coming to a compromise and deciding what can you all equally contribute in the relationship so the relationship can sustain, or so the relationship can strengthen, or so the relationship can survive. That's what the objective should be. It should not be about you deciding, well, because you don't make as much money, you're not able to shop, or you're not able to make financial decisions. That's not how a relationship should balance. Like, it should be equal contribution from both parties. And it may not be financially equal, but how can you make your partner feel like there is equality in the relationship?
All right. So while you was kind of discussing that, two words came up in my head. How can one distinguish the difference between cheap and frugal?
Oh.
And I'm throwing another one, stingy.
Okay.
Because a lot of times people have different definitions because, like, say, for instance, guys go out on dates. This whole generation now with millennials are Netflix and chill.
Oh, okay.
Are they more of because they Netflix and chill because they don't have the money, or Netflix and chill because they're trying to save?
Okay.
So how did you address that subject when it came up, maybe in counseling or the individuals came?
Yeah. Now, we're talking about a married couple or a
dating couple.
Okay, cheap and frugal. I guess I think in a dating relationship, it should be equal. There are women that choose to, date men that will only take them out, but they're not offering to contribute anything. That's not really a balanced dating relationship. I think it should be equal. If y'all go out to dinner, maybe he can pay on one occasion and maybe you can pay on another occasion. Maybe you all decide to go to the movies. Maybe you all can split the cost on the movie date. It depends on the individual's finances. And there are affordable ways to date. You don't have to spend a lot of money, but I think it's ingrained in some of our mindsets that a man have to do everything for us. But in a partnership, you all are doing things for each other. And definitely a man or guy should pursue a woman, and you should allow that process to happen. However, it's important for you to contribute to that relationship as well in some way. You can be nurturing. And like I said, it doesn't have to be anything that is expensive, and it doesn't make a guy really cheap because he doesn't want to take you out to an overly expensive restaurant. I've heard people talk about they'll meet a woman and then they would choose like one of the most expensive restaurants in the city. Well, my question is, are you willing to take yourself to that restaurant? And we have to ask ourselves that, like, what are our expectations of others, and is it realistic, and are you being fair? I do think that you should have standards, and again, I think you should be realistic about what you're requesting for someone, and are you willing to output that, what you're requesting? Like, are you willing to reciprocate that? I guess that's what I'm saying.
Okay. So, another thing that came up, like some people say is like a red flag, tipping when they're out on a date.
Oh, that is important.
Is that a indication whether that person, where they at financially, or where they at as far as they're a stingy person or they're a giver?
Well, some people don't.
Could that be a red flag? Could that be one that you just be like, done?
Well, no, I don't think that's a reason to abruptly or ghost.
Ghost, okay. Yeah.
But I think that people tip based on what they believe, they should leave as a tip. Some people aren't great tippers. And if you recognize that that's an opportunity to communicate and engage with the individual that you're dating, and that's how relationships strengthen. Like, when you recognize things, talk about it. Don't ignore it. Please don't ignore or avoid the conversations, but just inquire. So what are your thoughts about tipping? What are your thoughts about going on a date? Don't just select one place. Select 3 options. Okay, and then give that individual the autonomy to choose. Okay, this is a great place for us to go and it's affordable, or this is a great place to go because of the diversity of the menu, or this is a great place to go because it's a more intimate setting. So don't be so controlling. Allow each other to have some autonomy in decision making. And when you recognize it's something that's being displayed you are uncomfortable with, have a conversation about it. Well, I believe that you should tip 15% opposed to 5%. Now, also, I do believe if you take me on a date and you pay for the meal, I'm very open to leaving the tip. You don't even have to ask me. I may just put the money on the table. So just be a giver in the relationship. It's not about just being on the receiving end, but also be on the giving end as well.
So you're saying once those types of instances or episodes come up, address it head on instead of just like putting it under the
we don't. We can't do that. We can't sweep under the rug. We have to address these issues when they are in front of us, and we cannot ignore and avoid issues. I think we need to get in the habit of communicating things up front, and then not allowing them to progress. And then when we, are at the explosive period, we decide to just disappear or just give up on the relationship. In order to nurture a relationship, you have to constantly communicate about what's important to you, what your needs and wants are, and that goes both ways.
All right, so I'm gonna go back to married couples for a moment. All right, so couples been married maybe after I would say let's say engagement process, during or marriage process, and it's discovered that a person has been financially cheating on you.
Okay.
So maybe it's discovered that they may have a hidden bank account, or maybe they didn't disclose a credit situation going on, and you about to walk down that aisle, or you've been married. Is that something that couples can overcome, or how can a person overcome that?
I think a couple can overcome it. Couples choose to manage their finances probably in similar ways or differently. If you do decide to have separate checking accounts or savings accounts, I think it's something that should be discussed up front. My question would be, what's the meaning behind hiding it? You should want security to be a part of that relationship, and I think that's very important, being able to trust your partner. And some couples do agree, we will have a joint account, and then I will have a separate checking account, or we may have separate checking accounts. It depends on how much money you have. Some people money don't spread that far where they can do all of that. If you are entering into the relationship and you feel like it's on the brink of you're on the brink of losing it because of financial insecurity, that's questionable. So you need to question, is this a relationship I should be entering into? Okay, quite naturally, when you meet someone, their finances is already set up pretty much. They already have separate accounts set up. They already have their retirement investment set up. Some people have already invested in real estate. So you have to decide as a couple, how are we going to move forward with our finances together. So that's up for discussion. It should be an open conversation, and when you approach that conversation, you should be open-minded and not defensive. So I think that's important.
So let's talk about prenuptial agreements. Now, I know you're not an attorney, but
no, that is so outside of my league. That is definitely outside of my league. We would need to call one of these attorneys and have that conversation. Yeah, hey.
You approach that is while they're in counseling, I think we'll do a prenuptial agreement,
Well, I've heard that come up before, but again, that's outside of my league. Okay. I think that's something that an attorney have to address with couples. Okay. People want to protect their money. Okay. And some women are okay with it, and some people aren't. When you're divorcing, it's very difficult. Oh gosh, it's so difficult to separate investments. It's so difficult you can't split a child. Yes. So a lot of those things are very sensitive topics, but is that something you may want to address? How will we deal with situations if they arise? Those can be uncomfortable conversations, but you need to have some type of working plan together.
All right, one final question. Because we can do a whole 5-part on this thing. Does money and commitment, does they work together, or are they separate, or they kind of mutually exclusive, or things like that?
Money and commitment,
Mm-hmm.
if you're committed to that person, you should be a part of, or included in decisions in terms of how money is spent. I think couples should be flexible again. I think couples should budget together. I think couples should talk about their money and decide how the money will be spent, how the money will, like I said, be invested, how they can monopolize their money. Like, I think those are much needed discussions. I don't think it should be one person that's making all the decisions. Now, if you have someone that you're married to that's an impulsive spender or have a problem with gambling, now that's a totally different conversation. Or if you're married to someone that's a substance abuser, like, all those things have to be taken into account. I'm not saying that if you're married, it's always going to be an equal decision how you spend money, but those things have to be explored. And that's why the trust is so important. And that's why it's important to explore these issues up front. And if you are dealing with somebody that, abuses money, you all have to decide on a working plan so you won't be exhausted of your financial resources, because you need financial resources to survive.
All right. I said one final question, but then another question came out of my head. Going back to the dating stage, relationship stages. Is money ever a acceptable excuse not to, on both sides, male and female, to say I cannot be committed to you at this time? Or a person say, well, I want to date you, I want to be in a relationship, but right now my finances is not where it should be.
I think that's,
or even if someone say,
right.
Well, we've been dating for a couple of years now, thinking about marriage, but my finances are not right where it should be,
Right, and I'm not a financial advisor. I make sure I stay in my league
Okay.
when I'm talking about things. I do think it's important to know where you are, be self-aware. I always talk about self-awareness. If you don't think you're ready for a relationship because of your finances, that's up for discussion. That goes back to the communication piece that I was talking about, just having that conversation. And then maybe you all can work together where you can achieve a goal where, you can be financially secure approaching, the marriage, like during the engagement period. There can be, active solutions on how to improve your finances. Maybe in that case, you can meet with a financial advisor or a banker, somebody that can help you improve your money, your finances.
All right. Well, Crystal, thank you for taking time to talk about this
You're
very
welcome.
important subject. I promise we can probably do 2 or 3 parts on this.
Yeah, you should bring an accountant in on this, or someone that is very knowledgeable about money, because I'm sure these are some things that they see too. Yeah,
very important topic. So thank you all, and segment 4 is coming up, or I should say part 4 is coming up. It's called Single Doing Valentine's Day.
and that's like Thursday, so.
Yes.
So I want to give you some working solutions.
Yes, so we're going to talk about that next. So thank you all again, and check out what's happening Birmingham.com or the YouTube channel. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching the What's Happening Birmingham video podcast. Please check out our website, app, or subscribe to our YouTube channel for the latest videos today.